Welcome to County Mayo, the wild Atlantic Ocean off to the west, Connemara to the south, and the mighty mountains that are sticking up through the mist, surrounding this county. Over the next few minutes in this movie made by LawPro, the local authority water programme, we talk to landowners, we talk to farmers, we talk to community groups, and we talk to school groups about how they're all working together collaboratively to keep our waters as clean as possible, to keep the many blue dot sites or pristine water sites intact for all of us, for our community.
So we're here today in beautiful County Mayo to talk about the Blue Dot Catchments Programme, which is a national programme set up in 2019 and brings together all stakeholders who are interested in protecting our high status waters across the country. And what the Blue Dot Catchments Programme tries to do and seeks to do is bring together everyone working in these areas and to focus on implementation of activities and measures to help protect these high status waters across the country. So in the Blue Dot Catchments Programme, we're working with a multitude of stakeholders, and that includes the Environmental Protection Agency, Inland Fisheries Ireland, the Office of Public Works and the local authorities. And within the local authorities water programme, we're coordinating the programme in terms of delivering measures across the country.
Blue Dot waterbodies are some of our most natural habitats remaining in Ireland. In their natural state, the rivers will have lovely natural meandering courses, nice intact bankside vegetation and some of our cleanest water. When they're managed correctly, they contain some of our best aquatic habitat and are home to some of our most iconic and endangered species. Mayo is one of the best counties for them. They're concentrated down the west coast of Ireland and in the mountainous regions. Mayo has 48. Most of them are river water bodies, but there's also some lakes, estuaries, and even coastal water bodies like Clew Bay.
Standing by the banks of the Clyde River, we can see and we can hear and practically feel the energy of the river, of all of that water that has fallen in the foothills of the Navan Mountains and drained down from all the little ditches and all the tributaries and all the streams into the Clyde River, which will eventually end up into the Moy. This is all part of the Moy catchment. And it's a reminder to us that any water that we spread around the place, in our gardens, in our farmyards, in our towns, ends up being washed down into this catchment, into the Moy, and eventually into the sea. We're going to catch up with some local people now and talk to them about their experiences living in the Moy catchment.
I'm delighted to hear from this man that this river is a Blue Dot water river. That means that it's top of the range, the water. I can go back 70 years when this river was filled with trout, eels. We were sufficient every summer. Take the good trout out of it, leave the small ones, and of course come back again the year after. And I actually remember coming from a game of cards one night. We had splashing on the river, and there was 4 salmon down underneath us. This is in winter time now, but they were there.
Hi, I am Karina Diernkes and I'm an ecologist and also an active community member as well as a mum here in County Mayo. I like to see all kinds of our waterways protected, right from our small ponds like this one here to the rivers and streams. Obviously high status waters are very important, and something like the small pond here is connected to the stream, which is our Blue Dot stream here in Bohola, and that in turn is connected to the River Moy, and that goes out to the sea. And when we're thinking about protecting water quality, it doesn't matter if it's something very small like a pond or if it's something bigger like where we like to go and swim with our kids in the summer. It might be a lake or it might be the beach. And beaches and lakes, the water quality is monitored and it can be very good, sufficient or poor. But I'm sure if you're going swimming with your kids, you'd want that water quality to be very good water quality. Actions that are carried out by individuals in our catchments have an impact further downstream, so it's important to remember that everything is connected. Thanks to the support of LawPro and the Community Water Development Fund, the whole of Community Park have been able to create this wildlife pond here beside us, and we've also put in a boardwalk as well. So having a pond in Community Park is really important, because as the park develops, we're going to have a football field and there'll be water potentially running off that field. But the pond will act as a filter, so that it'll filter the water before it gets to our Blue Dot stream. And that is very important. But it's also important in terms of being a resource for our local kids as well. The kids can come here and can take part in pond dipping activities, and they can learn about the importance of water, the importance of aquatic animals, and the importance of biodiversity in general.
The river here are such poignant memories for me, coming down here as a child. We used to come down across the old railway from Kelchima, from our own parish. I suppose the river network around Kelchima was very poignant in an island town as it is. But leaving our area in Lisnamonaghy, we'd come down across the old railway towards Calladen and through Pulronahan. And our first visit, I suppose, as keen fisher boys at the time, was to meet the Glow River at Pulronahan. And the old iron bridge, I suppose, off the railway there was our first attempt. And the local farmers, local people had great respect for the rivers in that area, and gave us all the history and maybe the wildlife and the flora and the fauna along the way. And we'd be learning from them as children. The first place, I suppose, we were taught about then was the Gub. And that was just at the back of Calladen Graveyard, again off the first of the railway bridges on that stretch, where the Pulla would meet the Glore. And it was a brilliant picnic spot as kids. That was our first resting point. And we'd have our little fishing rods and nets with us and all the rest of it.
This site just behind us is one of our Blue Dot sites, which means the water quality is pristine level. It's as good as it gets. And of course, all of our rivers, not just in Mayo, but right around the island of Ireland, were once pristine waters, were once naturally clean waters. And some of the memories that you've just heard shared, they're vitally important for us to be able to conserve our rivers, to be able to build up the passion to bring these rivers back up to the state that they should be in. And we're now going to hear from some children who've been exploring their local rivers, their local catchments. Instilling the passion within them is vital if we want the conservation to continue into the future.
We're in Termacady and we're going to tell you what we got up to today.
We first started off by getting a net and kicking around the stones to get all the creatures in, and we picked it up after a minute and put them in the water tank.
We got a stonefly,
A mayfly,
a flattened mayfly, a case caddis.
Waterways.
National School. We found a lot of creatures in the Blue Dot River.
Whoever had wellies on could go in the river and spend like 2 minutes just trying to pick up some creatures.
And in one of our ones we found a crayfish. We're very happy this is the Blue Dot River site. Yay!
Bhuail an buíochas a gabhfuil as an taithí iontach seo, bhí sé an simú agus bhí sé an cara glynn sa todhchaí. Bhainmuid go léir an taithbhas agus bhí sé an rá. Gur mágah.
We're at the edge of Walsh Pool, very close to the village of Balcarra, and the water that's just behind me here. It's one of Mayo's Blue Dot sites, and that is with all of the industry and the business that's going on surrounding the lake. You can see farmland behind us, you can see homesteads behind us, you can see a lot of humanity living and acting around this lake. Despite that, the water is kept at perfect level. Land management is very important for Blue Dot sites, and the land management around here is very sympathetic to the area. You can see in this wet grassland, which floods continuously in the wintertime, a lot of the plants are telling us that this is very wet, but it's also very diverse. There's a huge range of flowers. And of course, all of those flowers are food for the pollinators, for the butterflies, for the dragonflies that we saw behind us, and for the birds that are swooping down over the lake.
My name is Colm Gavin, farm on Bengurra Mountain, which is kind of between Wheelray and Shafrey and Killery Harbour. That's kind of where we are, geographically speaking. The reason I would be involved in projects like this is due to there's a population of freshwater pearl mussels in the river that I farm alongside, and some of our farming measures have been known to help the population of the mussel in the river. So some of the measures we've done have helped the mussel out over the last couple of years. One of the measures that we've done to help the freshwater pearl mussel is we've put silt barriers in one of our drains. Now, we get quite a lot of rain here and we're in a sandstone area, so the sediment is always moving off the hill, and in the drains that was going straight out into the river, and we had a big sandbank in that river. These silt traps, what they do is they just take that energy out of the river, out of the stream, and the silt deposits just in the drain here and out on the bank, and it just stops it from going into the river there. So it helps the mussel, and it stops the silt from clogging up the river as well.
Growing up in the summertime, you saw a lot of visiting anglers coming to the area to fish the River Moy, which of course is synonymous with salmon fishing. I gradually learned that there is a resource that's in our local area that was very high quality. We had salmon migrating here every summer. I fell in love with nature, and as I've got older, learned to understand that we have very high quality water system here in our catchment area, and I think it's something that's worth protecting. We started a local group here a number of years ago, and we tidy up this local river here. This is the Pulla River outside Culchama. What I want to get across to people is that if you have any interest in the environment and your local community, the smallest action that you can do can help protect, I suppose, preserve the natural heritage that exists in the area. There is so much pleasure in doing that type of work for a start. It's almost like the Tidy Towns group that exists, and we have a network of them in Ireland. So I think there's a kind of a responsibility on us as communities to get together. I set up a WhatsApp group We got 12 or 14 people out with some kayaks and we picked all the silage wrap that was in the river here. We actually ended up collecting, I think, over 5 tons of rubbish, silage wrap, and removing it. There was a great amount of satisfaction from that. You connect with people that have similar beliefs to yourself in relation to protecting and enhancing the local environment.
This riparian habitat here is crucial for keeping our sites pristine, for keeping the blue dots as clean as possibly can be. Riparian habitat is just riverside or waterside trees and shrubs. Trees and shrubs that hold the bank together, that bind the bank together. Trees like this alder tree, a tree that is so important in an area like this. It is able to soak up a huge amount of water, a huge amount of nutrients, and any spillage that comes from the road just behind us. This acts as a buffer, as a filter, keeping our river clean. And both the alder and the hazel and the willow and all of the other shrubbery that we see behind us acts like a wildlife corridor that allows the animals to move up and down through the Mayo catchment.
Well, certainly here in Mayo we have all of the ingredients that are needed to produce what we call Blue Dot or Grade A rivers and streams. Just look behind me, just look at the mountains in terms of the amount of gravel that we have, the amount of bog area that we have. And the gravels will go down into the streams. They will actually provide fantastic area for trout and salmon to spawn. The bogs will act as a sort of sponge where they will hold the water and release the water very slowly. But unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that some of the streams here in County Mayo are quite degraded. But in reality, a lot of this is dispersed. This isn't difficult stuff to actually solve. It's very often people who don't take care of their septic tanks. It's people, for example, that maybe have some forestry on their land and they're not really careful in terms of the way they actually manage the ditches and the drainage areas from the forestry. Or indeed, people aren't looking after their riverbanks, or they're letting cattle actually get into the streams. But there's no doubt about it, if we all did our small piece to put the environment back together, we certainly could produce a lot more Blue Dot Grade A rivers in County Mayo.
My name is Éanna Hyland and I am Lawpro's Community Water Officer for Mayo and North Roscommon. Community water officers are based around the country and are there to support communities that want to improve the water quality in their local area. This can be through awareness raising initiatives such as the creation of artworks or information materials such as booklets or films, but also events or school visits. Citizen science is a valuable way of creating awareness and understanding of what is going on in your local river, lake or coastal area. There are also a wide range of practical measures that you can take to improve water quality. These include carrying out ecological assessments, the creation of riparian buffer zones, or the removal of invasive alien species. Your community water officer and Lawpro are able to provide funding and support to be able to carry out these initiatives. Community water officers are supported by the catchment scientists and are also able to make collaboration and knowledge sharing with the different authorities and agencies a more manageable task. This means that we can all work together to identify the right solutions to improve the water quality in your area. If you're part of a local group and would like to get involved in restoring our rivers, lakes and coastal areas, then reach out to your community water officer and we can work together to protect our Blue Dot water bodies and restore the high status water quality of this County Mayo.
So we're so lucky to live in such an amazing place, a place of such diversity. Diversity of water bodies, of wonderful rivers, wonderful lakes, many of them still so clean. And so much biodiversity, so many different living natural things. All of the areas around here supporting so much nature. And it's incumbent on us to keep working together as communities to keep these areas clean, not just for us, but for our future generations.